Oh, it seems like it's working. I think. It's 21:54. Going home. I just gotten some food, so that's pretty easy to make. Okay, in regards to just seeing some of another stream in regards of prophecy. That's pretty good, There's a lot of good goodies. But yeah, it's in regards of looking into prophecy, in regards to the book of Daniel. You have 70 weeks. Now, of course, you can't put any gap in those 70 weeks. Anyone saying there's a gap between the 69 week and the 70 week is utterly full of bullshit. It just doesn't work. It's like the gap theory in regards of the book of Revelation, right? Where they put a gap into it and millions and billions of years and all that. It just doesn't work, It's nonsense. So, in regards to the 70 weeks, that's just not going to happen. You can't shoot the 70 week into the future. But what we have to, what I was looking into it some time ago and trying to sort it out a little. And of course, one can always go deeper. But the 70 weeks, we already have the prophecy of 70 weeks. And then of course, it's fulfilled by Christ. And he dies around 30 AD, and then you have this last week ending around 33 AD. So at the 34 AD, it's done and over. But then, of course, we see in the prophecy itself, we see prophecies that is outside the 70 weeks. We see prophecy in regards of the city, Jerusalem, and the temple. And of course, one can debate in regards to when the city was destroyed and all that. Of course, the Romans came and destroyed Jerusalem in 70 AD. But what we pretty much can confirm pretty good and pretty solid is that the temple was destroyed 70 AD. So the temple was pretty much totally, thrown off the plaza or whatever it's called. The Romans pretty much cleaned it up. So there was not one single stone left pretty much. And you can go to Jerusalem and you can see the stones still. You can see the stones that was knocked down the place. They're pretty much, there's a huge amount of them. But that happened 70 AD, that's 40 years after Jesus died. Of course, we know from the Jerusalem Talmud and the Babylonian Talmud that there was things going on 40 years before the temple was destroyed. Which is also an interesting number in regard to 40. As far as my best, is that Jesus was executed 30 AD. Although I wouldn't be totally solid on it, but at least that's the best that that I've been able to. Well, you always need to use time to further solidify things. I remember I was giving a link for a Jewish calendar system, and if you go to 30 AD and all that, you could see that it fitted with Wednesday in regards to him being executed on Wednesday, but I lost the link. I didn't further go into the link and put it on my Facebook wall, and then pretty much haven't been able to find it again. But I guess you can just look at Jewish calendars and see if anything fits, But we know that the Babylonian Talmud and the Jerusalem Talmud, that strange things, which usually wasn't happening, was going on 40 years before the temple was destroyed. So that would suggest in regards of what happened 30 AD, right? If we know the temple was destroyed 70 AD, right? Then the question is, what happened in 30 AD that made things change, right? And of course, we know what happened in 30 AD, or around that point. Well, Jesus was around, and he died for the sins of the world. So, yeah. But in any case, what am I thinking about? Oh yeah, so if you take all the puzzle pieces, you come that Christ had to die in the middle of the week pretty much, which is in Roman time Wednesday. And the next day, that would be Thursday in Roman time, would be the first day of unleavened bread. And when you eat the Passover lamb. And that of course would be in regards of Wednesday after sunset. So you slay the lamb before the sunset and eat the lamb after the sunset, which after the sunset it is then the next day, Jewish or biblical time. So if you want to go, the thing is they say 3 days and 3 nights, right? Which of course doesn't fit with Friday. It's nonsense. That's just bullshit pretty much. Because, even if you give them the 3 days, you only have 2 nights, Even if, it's not even, because the grave is found empty, right? And I think it actually is found empty before the sunrise, but I can't remember overall. But, let's just give people those 3 days, right? That a little day is a full day, which is, of course, just totally nonsense. You get around, if I recall correctly, 36 to 38 hours from Friday to sunset. And of course, it doesn't say that Christ was raised at the sunrise. It says it was empty, right, at that specific point. But of course, then you have other testimonies that seem to suggest that this is actually just after the Sabbath, or very close to the Sabbath, or at the, the difference of. So I'm not totally solidified in regard, but 3 days and 3 nights. You go to around, if Jesus was in the grave, around sunset, then around sunset it would raise from the grave, right? After 72 hours, after 3 days and 3 nights. And it's all nonsense when the priesters try to say, well, it's a Jewish thing. Well, okay, so it's a Jewish thing. So how many is 40 days on the mountain, right? How many days were Moses up on the mountain? 40 days? Or maybe it's not 40 days. Maybe it's only 20 days, right? It's just bullshit. But, of course, what the priesters usually don't, they haven't been taught to, deceive people by, is that try to go the other way around. You have a problem if you go the other way around as well. Because they say Sunday, Palm Sunday, right? Yeah. But we know, you get Yeshua going into Jerusalem, the 10th of Aviv. And then, of course, he's inspected for 4 days. And on the 14th, he's slain. And then the 15th, the Passover lamb is eaten, right? But that's kind of a problem in regards to counting the other way. Because if you have Palm Sunday, well, you only get to Thursday if you're counting from Palm Sunday. If you're counting from Friday, you're only going to get to Monday. You're missing a day. So that's a problem. Anyway, then of course you also have a problem in regards of traveling. Would Jesus travel so many kilometers, on the Passover? On a Sabbath? That's a good question, isn't it? But getting back to the book of Daniel, right? So you have 70 weeks, right? And after those 70 weeks, we're told that the city and the sanctuary will be destroyed. Well, that didn't happen in those 70 weeks. That happened afterwards. So you have the 70 weeks being fulfilled, and then you have information in the future outside those 70 weeks. And after that, you have further information of a week's time in the future. As far as I can see, I don't know why people want to jump back in regards to that information. to make it about the last week of the 70 weeks. We already have fulfilled those 70 weeks. The next information seems to be more in regards of the end times, and this is not anything new that we see prophecy coming with information and then throwing it moving into the future. That's a standard thing that you can find in other prophecies, where clearly you have things that is not happened yet. It's still future. So that wouldn't be a surprise if it was done like that as well in this instance. It wouldn't be it wouldn't be like a strange thing. So we also have information that seems to suggest that it's in regards to the end times. Now, this is not in regards to futurism, but it is in regards of understanding that we have past, present, and future prophecies. So, and then of course they have this thing that they try to divide the 69 and the 70 week, which of course is total nonsense. No truth in regards to that. But the thing is, you don't really need to have that gap to have a future week. We already know from the information from the beginning that we have 70 weeks, right? In regards to Jesus Christ dying for the sins of the world and taking upon him the transgressions and all that. That is already fulfilled. All those 70 weeks are fulfilled in the past. Now, of course, sometimes things from the past in regards of prophecies still helps us to understand the future in regards of things. So that, who knows if there's something further, but, understanding the past sometimes leading to understanding future things which still haven't happened. But anyway, I've just been out getting some food here. But yeah, I was trying to look into it. I also have a document. I found a document from 200 AD on prophecy. And I was like, it's just interesting to see what, a guy from 200 AD would write about prophecy. Sadly, I couldn't find, Melito's document on the book of Revelation. He was what shall we say, a Judaizer, right? The Romanizers hated Melito. Melito was in the right area. The area that stood against Rome for a long time. Was also the area that rejected Roman Pharisee Paulus at his end of ministry. So, yeah. Any case, but yeah, they stood against the Romanizers for a long time, and that's the very area that Jesus Christ wrote to. So that's good. But yeah, it's just not necessary for to have this gap thing, Oh yeah, but so I had this document. I found this document from 200 AD, and I was looking into and yeah, he gets a lot of things correct. I don't expect everything to be correct, You try the best that you can do with what you know, and it's still interesting, that this guy wrote it like 200 AD, right? So he can only, he sees it from 200 AD, right? And he still gets a lot of things correct. But again, I don't expect him to get everything correct. But he talks about a 7-year period, And he doesn't talk about the 70 weeks or anything like that. He doesn't mix those 70 weeks into this period of a 7-year, thing. So around 200 AD, according to this document anyway, apparently he seemed to understand that there would be like a week of time, 7 years in the future, but he didn't connect it with those 70 weeks. He didn't talk about those 70 weeks and connect it to the 70 weeks. And there's no need to connect it or anything like that with those... And fix this gap nonsense, this gap nonsense is clearly bullshit. So that's out the window with that. No sanity in the gap nonsense. But that doesn't change, doesn't take away that there might be a future week, That's the thing I'm trying to. I was reading this and trying to figure out and use different translations, and I would probably also need to do further investigations on regards to the things. But you take everything into, you get more pieces and all that, and we know in regards to the future, the continual, which in regards to sacrifices, will be taken away in the future, because we know there's some prophecies of the end times. Daniel is told that this is for the end time, and we know the continual is taken away in regards to the abomination. But then, we have to, if you take those images and those pieces and see what it says in that other prophecy, it seems to suggest to just give us more pieces in regards of what is going to go on in regards to the abomination and stopping the sacrifices and all that. Of course, to be, there has to be a temple in the future, and that seems to also be pretty much there had to be a future temple, and that could come very quickly. If the Jews are allowed, it could probably be up in a couple of months. Apparently, as far as I have heard, they could really, really quickly get it up. So they are ready for it. If they're allowed to do it, they could do it very quickly. So it's just a question of being allowed to do it, right? So yeah. So yeah, I was just looking into in regards to those 70 weeks, and yeah, I think people have missed things. The problem is when they begin to do this gap nonsense, then of course something clearly is wrong, and that's clearly wrong, right? It's clearly wrong to fix a gap theory, because after 69 weeks, that was 7 weeks, and 62 weeks, that's 69 weeks. After 69 weeks, Yeshua has to fulfill the prophecy in the 70 week. So the 70 week can't be in the future. So there's only two options in regards to this last information in, I think it's 927 or something like that. There's only one, there's only either it's about Jesus in the past, which some believe, or it's in regards to the Antichrist in the future, a future week. And there's nothing that takes away that it's not a possibility that it's a future week, So, yeah. So as far as I can see, it seems more likely that it's about the Antichrist and not in regards of Jesus, in regards of this last information. You have the 70 weeks, right? And then you go into information of Jerusalem and the city being destroyed and the temple. Now we can, of course, one can debate in regards to when was Jerusalem destroyed, right? Because you have two big wars with the Romans and all that. But what we know as a fact is when the temple was destroyed. And we know that happened 70 AD. So we know, okay, that happened 70 AD. Well, that's outside the 70 weeks, right? So the text talks about the 70 weeks, and then it goes into clearly something that is outside those 70 weeks. So if it goes into something that is clearly outside the 70 weeks, why couldn't the next information also be outside of the 70 weeks, right? That seems to be pretty, that makes sense to me. And again, when we look at the data, and of course, I would look further into the Hebrew and the Aramaic. I can't remember if it's Aramaic or Hebrew that is used at that point. I know some of the book of Daniel is Aramaic and not Hebrew, so of course that doesn't make things easier to help to understand, because I guess maybe if you use the Aramaic Bible, that might help on maybe keeping understanding some of the words, or at least being able to look into, okay, this word is used in Aramaic, and see the differences in regards of other Aramaic translations and all that. You can usually get some help in regards to that, because that will be a little, you will at least need to figure out what is this Hebrew or this Aramaic word is used, right? What is it equal to in Aram or Hebrew, right? But yeah, if that is the case. I can't remember if it's Aramaic or Hebrew, but of course they're still pretty close to each other. But, we have the details, we have a lot of puzzle pieces, and if we begin to fix all the puzzle pieces, and again, it's not it's not strange that prophecies sometimes move into the future, where you're like, okay, this hasn't happened yet, and it talks about some things, and then all of a sudden it just goes into something that is clearly future, which hasn't happened yet. Yet some of the things seems to be something that happened in the past, and yet it goes into the future all of a sudden, right? So, it's not unknown. It's not strange. I'm lacking the English words here, but it's not. But apparently, it seems like some of the Protestants believe that 27 was about Jesus. I think they got that wrong. But anyway, that's just my opinion, That's the best that I can do for now. I would need to use more time on it. I was sitting with different things to try to sort it out because I was getting tired of having all these different opinions, right? And one thing is the opinions that is out there. Another thing is to research things yourself, right? And the first thing I found out is that you don't need to have a gap. Because there's clearly no gap, of course, To say that there is a gap is bullshit, but it's not to say that there isn't a future week in the future in regards to things happening. We have some different numbers as well, in regards to 1260 days or 3.5 years and so forward and all that. And we see those in the book of Daniel and the book of Revelation. Now I haven't sorted out all these things and all that, and who knows if we have all the details that unlocks it, I don't know. Like, think about it. We have the book of Daniel. We have some numbers in the book of Daniel, right? And God is saying to Daniel to close the information in regards to the future time, right? And we will understand at the end, right? But then we have the book of Revelation, which also he's told not to close the book, right? Yohanan is told to not close the book, although there's still some information we don't have, because John didn't tell us about the thunders, right? Because God told him not to write it down, and he was told that he will prophesy to many nations in the future, right? So I expect John to come back at some point with Eliyahu. That's my view. I don't understand why people will say, well, this is the guy and this is the guy that comes back. There's only two persons in the Bible that is said to come back, pretty much, and that's Eliyahu and that's Yohanan. I don't know where people get all the other, Moses or what is it, the other guy that they, the Jews are expecting Eliyahu. They expected Eliyahu when Jesus Christ was around. That's why they're asking him, in regards of, shouldn't Eliyahu come before, and all that. And Jesus says in regards of, in regards to the Baptist, John the Baptist, right? He alludes him to be, in the spiritual sense, in some sense. So that is not to say that the Eliyahu won't come in the future, So he might very well come around. And who else? Well, Yohanan would be a good suggestion. Why would God say that Yohanan would testify to many nations again if that wouldn't be so, right? So that's two persons that we have in the Bible that is told to, So that's my best suggestion. So I don't know when people say it's Moses or the other guy, or whatever. So, let's have some food here. And those people saying that the trumpets has been blown or is being blown is just utterly ridiculous as well. It's just nonsense. And there's so many theories in regards of the trumpets. It's just bullshit. You're going to tell me that the trumpets has been blown? You gotta be kidding me. Or is being blown? You gotta be kidding me. That's just absolutely hogwash, And if people can, the Great Tribulation has yet to come. And the Great Tribulation is before the trumpets. So if the Great Tribulation is before the trumpets, maybe there's still future, right? Yeah. So, that's solid. I'm solid on the trumpets. There's something, I have like a green, yellow, red, and I'm totally green on the trumpets. The trumpets have clearly not been blown yet. That is a solid, what do you call it? I'm pretty solid on that. I think that's a solid doctrine that no trumpet has been blown yet. We have the book of Revelation, right, talking about the trumpets. Not a single trumpet has been blown yet. Well, how do you know? Well, has the great tribulation come around yet? Have 144,000 Israelites been chosen, been sealed by God with the name of God and Yeshua? In regards to Yehovah and Yeshua? No, they haven't. That's the future. Well, okay. So if that's still future, well, why would we jump into the 7th seal and not the 6th seal? Anyway, whatever, I'm just getting tired of the lies, So I was listening to this guy on well, hopefully I can get on, that would be interesting to talk to him. He has a lot of things that is correct. Of course, one can always find things that is, one disagrees with. And I think that was thing in regards to the Samaritans. I don't think is correct, but this woman is trying to mislead him, and she's using all these Roman Catholic filthy tricks. I can just, I don't, maybe she just picked it up by someone, but we also know that there's a lot of Roman agents around, and we know that if anyone points to the papacy and the Roman Catholics as the issue, we know that they will send these Roman agents against you. And this woman, I don't know her, she's just, it's just typical Roman Catholic filthy tricks that she's using. And she seems to be derailing him somewhat, he goes into the Samaritans and all that. I think that's some issues with that. It's like it's incredible if the Jews were not Jews, right? It's incredible that they didn't tell the Nazis, "Hey, you Nazis, we're not really Jews," It's like, well, apparently the Nazis thought the Jews to be Jews enough to murder them, right? 6 million, And of course that was a Roman Catholic movement. Now that a lot of the Protestants, so-called Protestants, ended up taking part in, because Protestants are not really Protestants anymore. And when Protestants are not Protestants anymore, they end up in the bed of the whore. And then we have 6 million Jews dying. It's disgusting, it's filthy, it's diabolical. So that's why it's very important to know who the Antichrist is. This is actually one of, this is one of the most important doctrines to know. Who is Jesus and who is the Antichrist? Or who is the Messiah and who is the counter-Messiah, Of course, that's the papacy. It's also interesting in regards to so-called historicists, and they will, I've been told by historicists, well, this is future doctrine, right? This is futurism. What are you talking about? Are you telling me as a historicist that you do not believe there's future prophecies? That's bullshit, And of course, that is a lot of, historicism is, that's one of these so-called historicists that have made all the trumpets to be in regards of some kind of world event, and only the last one hasn't been blown yet. That's utterly bullshit. Then you have people that call themselves historicists and tell you there's no future prophecy. It's like, if they hear anything in regards to the future, they will just, oh, he's a futurist. What are you talking? It's just disgusting. And you have all these naughty things in regards of, and I was very annoyed about all those, in regards of these trumpets, right? Because you're hearing all these different views of the trumpets, right? And if you're a preterist and all that, and you say that most of the book of Revelation has been fulfilled and all that nonsense, you gotta be kidding me. Not in the judgment in regards to these trumpets, the wrath of the gods in regards of the Father and the Son, in the Lamb, is coming upon the world after the Great Tribulation. So I don't know why people want to have those trumpets to be now or having already been fulfilled, if you can understand that the Great Tribulation is future and the Great Tribulation happens in the sixth seal, why would the seventh seal be ongoing? You gotta be kidding me. So anyway, it's just a lot of nonsense around for sure. But as far as I can see, the 70 weeks of Daniel has been fulfilled. So the Jews have put a curse on not counting the 70 weeks, because if you count the 70 weeks, then you understand that the Messiah should already have been here. And of course, Jews don't believe in Jesus, and that's the only option there is to choose from, pretty much. And so that's a problem for them, of course. So they put a curse on the 70 weeks. So, not to count the 70 weeks of Daniel. Because that gets you to, around 30 AD. And what happened in 30 AD? Oh, the Messiah died on the tree. So, anyway. So they put a curse on that. So, might be one of the reasons why they put a curse on it, because, the Jews would figure out if they calculated it. Anyway, but that doesn't mean that there isn't a future week in regard. We have different times. We have 1280 numbers, and we have 1200 and what is it like? I have it over here in regards to some of the numbers in the book of Daniel. Let's see here. You of course have the 3.5 3.5 year thing here, which I still haven't solidified how they actually, if that's that's Hosea. Anyway, we have 1260 days. We have the 3.5, right? Then we have the 1290 days and 1335 days. And then we have some numbers in the book of Revelation. Now, some will say, like the Seventh-day Adventists will say, that the 1260 days is in regards of a day for a year and all that. Doesn't work. Two of the places that I've seen they use. Two of the places it has to be literal days. It cannot be a day for a year principle. Well, why is that? Well, because it's the sixth trumpet. Well, the sixth trumpet is still future. It's when God is judging the world after they have killed the saints, killed the Christians. It's just so much nonsense out there. I just don't, it's just so much, And the more you grow in regards to the book of Revelation, the easier it is to see the bullshit. And there's a lot of bullshit around. Like, anyone saying that the trumpet is being blown or has been blown or whatever nonsense, anything in regard is bullshitter. It's just totally bullshit. It's not true. Just read the fifth seal, the sixth seal, and the seventh seal. We're not past the sixth seal. The furthest we can go in that timeline is the fifth seal. I don't know if we are in the fifth seal, but that's the furthest you can go in regard to that prophecy. And then timeline, because the fifth seal, you have Christians having been killed for the commandments of God and the testimony of Jesus Christ, and they're asking God, when are you going to judge the world, and God tells them, it's not word for word, but God is telling them, well, you have to wait until your other brothers have been slaughtered for the truth, right? When does that happen? Well, the sixth seal, So we have the fifth seal where God is telling, you have to wait a little on your brothers that is also going to be slaughtered in regards of the word of God and all that. We see in the sixth seal that happening. You have a unnumbered people standing with the palm leaves and all that from all nations, right? Now, of course, you have the 144,000 Israelites being chosen before that. That gets the seal. These are the first, what do you call it, harvest or whatever in regards of God. And then you have an unnumbered of people that have been butchered, and that's from the rest of the nations. That's the Christians. And then God judges the world with the seven trumpets in the seventh seal. Why is that so hard to understand, you know? It's like, look at the timeline, right? You know, anyway. I don't know in regards of what's wrong with the 144,000 Israelites. You can't read in regard, you know, these people having different suggestions about the 144,000 Israelites. Is it hard to read that it's 144,000 Israelites from 12 different tribes, excluding the tribe of Dan? You know, is that very hard to understand that these, you know, people, 144,000 in total, is from those 12 tribes, you know? Is that, you know, physically, you know, they are from those tribes, you know? You know, you don't need to imagine or whatever nonsense and all that, you know. Clearly these people, you know, and God knows in regards to the male line, because it goes through the male, it doesn't go through the woman. It's standard it goes to the male line. That's why when you see those, you know, Adam and so forth and all that, all those, that's men. There's only one place that it's a woman, that is in regards of when Mary, you know, in regards of Jesus, you know, that's the only break where we see a woman in the line. Every other person is a man. Why? Well, because the tribe goes through the man. So if you as a man from the tribe of Judah marry a woman from the tribe of Dan, your children is going to become from the tribe of Judah. You know, the woman would still be from the tribe of Dan, but her children are going to get the tribe from the man. So anyway, apparently that's, you know, of course the Jews have made a mess in regards to that because they think it goes through the woman. If I marry a Jewish woman, my children will not be Jewish. Well, at least not in the physical sense. They will be Danish, because I'm from the Danish tribe, and thereby my children will be Danish, and it doesn't matter where we are born either, you know. It doesn't matter in regards to, you know, the tribe doesn't have like a thing in regards of what land you are standing on and all that. That's just, you know, did the Israelites become less Israelites when they were in Egypt? You know, they were still Israelites, you know. Hey, you gotta be kidding me. They didn't just turn Egyptian and then, you know, they were still Israelites. The Jews that have been all throughout the world, are they still Jews? Yeah, they didn't become, you know, they might have a passport, you know, from different places, but they're still Jews, you know. And of course it should, you know, biblically, it goes through the man. But again, God knows, you know, the Jews might not have might have made it a wreck in regards to who are from this tribe and who is from that tribe and all that. But God knows, you know. God knows every single person which tribe he's from and all that. And we are told that 12 different tribes will be chosen, will be having the seal of God. And this is like the first fruit or something like that Christ gets at that point. Even if, I guess maybe it's like in regards to the first will be the last and the last will be the first. I don't know, I'm not sure. But anyway, at least we see Christ talking about this as the first fruit or something like that. So in the book of Revelation. So these are 144,000 sealed with the name of the Father and the Son. And yeah. Of course, the question is, are these going to stand to witness for the world at that point? I don't know. But there seems to be, like in the trumpets, there seems to be, I think it's those grasshoppers or something like that, are told, do not hurt those people that are sealed, right? I think that was something in regards to that. And of course, if that's the case, well, the question is, are those 144,000 still around at that point, you know? Of course, we know the people from the Gentiles, you know, from the rest, they're getting slaughtered, they're getting butchered, right? But I don't know in regards to those 144,000 Israelites. Maybe they are just, you know, maybe they are allowed to witness to the world in regards to Jesus Christ, you know. So people, yeah, I don't know. We'll see. Anyway, probably no in regards of. No, I said that didn't. I was just talking about my food here. Yeah, I'm thinking it's probably finished now. Yeah, that looks pretty finished. I think we shouldn't give it anymore. But yeah, so the book of Daniel. I just yeah, you don't need this gap to have another week, you know. So it might actually be that both of the people fighting this issue are both wrong in some sense, and do have something that is right and something that is wrong. Right and wrong. Oh, I think the seems like the pizza got a little too much. Anyway. Oh well. At least it doesn't need any more. So we have some green stuff here I can put on it. So. But yeah, it was very interesting. I'm going to listen a little, some more to this guy. He had like a 3-hour thing and all that. And it does seem like I would agree with a lot of the things that he's saying. I think it seems like he's getting, this woman is pushing standard, and she's so in confusion, and I think he ends up getting into, then he goes into the Samaritans and all that, and anyway, so it seems like she's pushing him in, I think, in the wrong direction, and this is typical Romans. They use all these disgusting tricks. I don't know where they learned these tricks. Maybe at the Roman Catholic, teaching places and all that. It's disgusting. It's disgusting to see them work. And just smells of Roman agent, because you can just, she's using those tricks, and it's like, you're picking up on it, right? Because when you begin to learn about those, if you go to Gap is like it's run by Roman Catholics. I had like what do you call it? I already, in the beginning that I went on Gap just to try it out, right? And I couldn't really figure out if what the who was running Gap, and I was trying to get answers, but no one really. But I did find things where you found the guy having Roman Catholic connections, the main guy that is, and then further other connections, and yes, it's run by Roman Catholics. There's nothing. It's pretty clear, It's pretty much out in the open now, I think, and you can see the Roman Catholic propaganda on the platform. There's a lot of it, so you don't even need, you're not even running into it just a little. You're running into it a lot, and you begin to, you figure out, you can see the bullshit, and where it's coming from, and it's very intense on the Gap platform. If you point out the Jesuits, they will try to say, well, the Jesuits are Jews, right? It's just. They will do anything and everything to get you away from the truth. And they use these subtle and diabolical, it's so disgusting and it's so slick, Well, anyway, so this woman is, trying to, and it's just, you pick up on it and you're like, oh, there's something wrong here. And then she continues to further, put these, well, you learn a lot of these tricks, right? And you pick up on it, then you pick up on it again, and then pick up on it again. It's like, okay, that's multiple times that you see that she's using Roman Catholic, bullshit to. So something seems to be wrong here, right? You pick up on it, and that's, this seems like something is wrong here. Why is she doing that? Why is she showing confusion? Why is she misleading and trying to so doubt about the Roman Catholic maniac institution and point out it's the Jews, and this and that, and so confusion on this. It's just, it's something is wrong. Anyway, I'm just sick and tired of it. Another trick is to, if you've written something that is actually pretty easy to understand, right? But then someone comes around and makes it like it's not being it shouldn't be understood how you wrote it, right? So a person comes around, and write to the message that you have written like there's something else that is said than what is actually being said in the post. It's so diabolical and it's so disgusting, and it's just. So if someone reads your message and then reads the other guy's message or the other person's message, he might be misled in regards to what was actually, he might understand it in the beginning and then see the other message and then think, oh, maybe I misunderstood it. It's just weird that it's just, yeah, it gets tedious, but of course, the devil doesn't play fair, so I guess it shouldn't be a surprise. But anyway, in regards to those 70 weeks, you can't put a gap theory in it. That's bullshit. We have information outside those 70 weeks, and then it seems like we have a week in the future which doesn't have anything to do with those 70 weeks. That's as far as I can gather anyway. So I might be wrong, but that's the best that I can do. I think it makes pretty good sense that this is a future week. I had this document from 200 AD, which he also talks about a week, in regards to a week of time. He doesn't connect it to the 70 weeks and all that. So at least that seems to have been a view also 200 AD in regards to this. So, and not connecting it with the 70 weeks. It's absolutely nonsense to make a gap in regards to the 69 and 70 week. I have no idea why anyone would do that. It's just nonsense, absolutely nonsense. But anyway, that's how it is, I guess. So yeah, it's every time you need to use a lot of time to figure out what is true and what is not. Like in regards to the trumpets, right? And I'm hearing all these different, views, right? And I'm like, okay, I have to look into it myself, right? And re-listening to that place in regards of trying to figure out the book of Revelation. And it's always good to listen to the book of Revelation and get more pieces and this and that and sort things out. And you get closer and closer, you get more and more understanding in regards of things. It's very clear to me that those trumpets hasn't been blown. Anyone saying that these trumpets has been blown or being blown at the moment or whatever and all that is full of garbage. It's just not true. It's not true. Those trumpets, also if you look at those festivals, right, the 7th day of unleavened bread, the Passover, 7th day of unleavened bread, and the counting to Shavuot and all that. And then we have the fall festivals, which starts with the Day of Trumpet, which is a 10-day festival with Yom Day of Atonement as the last one. And then you have Sukkot, 7 days, and then the last great day, the 8th, and all that. That's the last festival and all that. And you see those, these festivals are giving us information and wisdom as well to unlock what is going on in the world. And we don't keep those many times. But in any case, when you begin to sort out things, the image becomes more and more clear. The secrets of God becomes more and more clear. And it's just, when I don't understand why these people are so popular, right? Oh, the trumpets has this and that and all that. What are you talking about? Why are people running to these people? I don't understand it. People just love running to these people that can tell them a lot of bullshit. Not a single trumpet has been blown. It doesn't make any sense. You have the Great Tribulation and then the trumpets. The trumpets comes after the Great Tribulation. Most Christians understand that the Great Tribulation is yet future, right? Okay, if you understand that the Great Tribulation is yet future, why would you then believe that any trumpet has been blown, which comes after the tribulation, right? It's just bullshit, give me a break. But apparently people want to run away with this, they just love running after this. And these people are writing books and all that, right? And, okay. Yeah. People seem to be, rather go after being misled than wanting the truth. Just read the fifth seal, sixth seal, and seventh seal. Look at it in context. Just look at what is being said. The trumpets are future. It is when the world is getting judged because they have killed, all the Christians. I don't know how many Christians there will be, still at that point, but we know from the sixth seal that an unnumbered of Christians will have been slaughtered at that time in the sixth seal. So, yeah. Of course, we know the two prophets, whatever it is, if it's two physical people or not, I don't know. But if that would be two physical people, it would be John, the Apostle John, and Eliyahu, as far as I can see. Because John is told that he will prophesy again. Well, if John is going to prophesy again about the seven thunders, right? Well, he needs to be here, doesn't he? Because we don't have anything from John in regard. Don't write it down, right? Well, if he didn't write it down, well, then he has to come back to tell us, right? Yeah, anyway. So he will seemingly, as far as I can see, he must be coming back in regards of those trumpet blows. He will have to be there at the time of the thunders, right? Either before the thunders to begin to prophesy about these thunders, Yeah, we'll see. Anyway, but the trumpets haven't been blown yet. But anyway, but that's of course when you go into things, right? You go into things and you find out that this guy says this, another guy says another thing, a third guy, and fourth guy, and all that. And in the end, you just need to do your own studies, right? That's the only way to figure out what is true and what is not, right? And there's not a single trumpet being blown. I'm just sick and tired of the lies and the deceptions. That's it. It makes it harder to gather, when you have all these stinking liars, Whether they know it or not, it's just hard to how could they misunderstand so much? One of them was talking about, I think it was like, he had studied this book for 20 or 30 years or something like that, and now finally he understood it. So what he did was take some of the future trumpets and put it before the first trumpets and mix them up, and so they were aligned and all this nonsense, and he's fixing it all up and all that, and he's written a book about it and all that, and it's like, not a single trumpet has been blown, and because of the Jews understand it like this and all that, so we just totally mess up the timeline and put lots of garbage in things, and it just, oh my. Yeah, that's the way people tend to, yeah. Why not just go by the Bible, The Bible is past, present, and future. I guess it's because we are so ignorant on the Bible these days. What is it called? We are like, what is it called when you can't read, We are biblical illiterate, I think it's called. We just don't know ourselves. We don't investigate. We don't search things out. We don't study the Bible. We don't know much. So they can tell us anything and everything, and they do, and mislead you into whatever direction. Because we don't know any better. If we actually knew the Bible and was reading it every single day and growing and all that, Satan couldn't deceive us so easily. We would be nailing all the lies and the deceptions little by little. Like 82% of the Danish people believe in evolution. 82%. Most Danish people have a Bible in their home, and 82% of the Danish people believe in evolution. They just had to read the front of the book, to figure out that that's bullshit, And of course they can test it out. And there's more than enough information when you figure that out. There's huge amount of information in regards to creationism compared to to show that evolution is clearly a stinking, deceptive, satanic lie. It's not biblical on any level. So you just need to read the front of the book, right? We can't even do that. That's like incredible, right? People want to say, well, we only need to read the letters of Paulus. Then people will say, well, we only need to read the book of the New Testament. And I was like, are you kidding me? We need to read the whole Bible from beginning to end, okay? And then be careful about Paulus, Roman Pharisaic Paulus, okay, who was rejected by all Asia at his end, okay? Oh my, anyway, I have some food here. I should probably get to eat before it gets cold. But yeah. Jesus warned us about wolves in sheep clothing that could, if possible, deceive the elect. Maybe someone in the New Testament is actually a wolf in sheep clothing. Someone that is very smart and educated and knows his things and all that. Maybe the one that first persecuted the saints, saw some kind of vision in the desert and went to Rome and was rejected by all Asia, which actually was the very area that was full of Christian light for a long time, and who was in conflict with the Romanizers. Jesus told us something that looks like the real thing and yet is false. There's a difference between these two groups, the wheat and the tares. Now, what is that difference? Well, one group leads to lawlessness, leads away from the law, and the other group leads to law obedience. Now, with that knowledge, then we have to question, well, which one is the true group? Did Christ lead people to law obedience, or did he lead them to lawlessness? And there we go. Christ led to law obedience. Always go and sin no more. Sin is transgression of the law. Also have, that was actually also Peter, right? He writes in regards of that we don't do what we usually did before, right? We're trying to live a righteous life, turning away from all these worldly things that we once did, right? We should live like him, right? I think that's John, right? Anyone that says he knows him should live like him. Well, how did Jesus Christ live? Well, he lived without any sin. He wasn't breaking the law. He was breaking all the traditions of all these, traditions of the Jews and all that, but he wasn't breaking the law of Jehovah. So, he was the lamb without sin, right? The spotless lamb that died once and for all for the sins of the world. So anyway, now that we know these two things, that we have a group that leads to lawlessness, who is without the law of God, and then we have a group that leads to the law and tries to uphold the law, protect the law, guard the law, and have the testimony of Jesus Christ, right? Because both of them are testifying in regards of Jesus. But one of the groups are wrong. I should get some food. Anyway, may Jehovah be with you, and Yeshua, and most precious pearl, and the spirit of truth be in us all. Amen. Take care, because the devil is out there trying to mislead. Yeah, there's a lot of, the real battle really begins when you become a Christian, right? I was in the satanic New Age nonsense and got in contact with demons and all that. I was taught reincarnation by a demon that, that made itself out to be God, The eye of Ra and the triangle and all that nonsense and all that. Oh, yeah. Well, reincarnation. It was like 24% of the proclaimed Christians, I think it was in the USA, believe in reincarnation. Are you kidding me? Reincarnation is the devil's doctrine. Why would 24% of the Christians believe in reincarnation? It's not biblical. That's 1/4, nearly 1/4 of the proclaimed Christians that believe in reincarnation. Then it had some other in regards of percentage that believed in this and that and all these nonsense things. So they proclaimed themselves Christians, and yet they were running away with the devil on these nonsense doctrines. That is incredible. Anyway, be careful, all of you, and take care. I'm going